All right, everyone. So, welcome back to the Let's Talk with Kimberly Nicole podcast. We are still in season one. This is episode 5. Can you believe it, guys? We've made it to episode 5. And today we are going to have a conversation about body image. So, let's talk about body image. So, I'll start off by talking a little bit about what inspired this episode. So many different things, you guys. And I'll even be honest. Well, actually, before I go into all that, let me get you to go ahead and subscribe. So if you have been following us, this is episode 5. So subscribe to Let's Talk Wellness, our YouTube channel, and you'll get notified when podcast episodes come out and content such as this comes out. So, and a big shout out to everyone that's been rocking with us so far. I just want to thank you for tuning in and listening. Um, and also I want to address this elephant in the room. You know, it's a podcast and I got a different background again, you guys. And let me just say that this season right here is just about getting it done. Now, it's also about putting out meaningful content always. That's always number one. But it's about getting it done. And so the first, if at first you don't succeed, try again. First recording did not save, did not go well. And it was actually in my normal spot. And I love the background. And I'll be honest, aesthetically, it was beautiful. It had all the fall scenery and it really kind of went with, my fall hair that I got going on. But it's all good because we're going to get it done. We're going to get the content out there. And so this is why you see this different background. By any means necessary, we got to get this content out. So now back to the topic, body image. So I'll be honest, this episode was a little challenging for me. So I always sit down to write show notes before episodes or notes, just show notes, some notes about what I'm going to talk about. And this episode right here, it was just very challenging. Now, granted, the night that I sat down to write the notes, I was already very tired. Um, but it was just very challenging trying to figure out what angle to come from, I guess, and even just how riled up I wanted to get. Because I could really talk about this topic. So it was inspired, well, strategically, I wanted to talk about it in October because Body Acceptance Week is coming up. It's October 23rd through 27th. I did not know that that was a thing. I actually was doing some research for a program that I was considering putting on. And I think that's when I stumbled into it, or it might have been before then. Um, and the program just didn't work out for this year, but it's definitely something that could potentially come to pass in the future. Also, in my search for more content about just body image, body awareness, I found out that Body Image Awareness Week is actually in September. So I did not know that, but annually it's the first week of September. So this year it was September 4th through 10th. And then I'm just going to read a little bit about both um body image acceptance week and then body acceptance week, which is coming up. And then I'll get into a little bit of my personal story and kind of how this has actually been originally been a topic in the making for about a year now. So Body Acceptance Week is an exciting new initiative promoting body acceptance, including body positivity, body neutrality, and body liberation for all. So research shows that body dissatisfaction is a leading risk factor in the development of an eating disorder. And in an effort to promote or to promote information and also in an effort to prevent eating disorders, Body Acceptance Week provides resources, education, and support for those experiencing body dissatisfaction and its associated risk factors. And so I'll just put a little more information in the actual show notes about Body Acceptance Week. So I'll go into the three terms that I mentioned in terms of body image. So we have body positivity, body neutrality, and body liberation, which that's actually, well, I was going to say a newer one, but that's new to me. So body positivity, you've probably heard a lot about that. I feel like that's kind of one of those buzzwords. I love my body, and it actually originates from the fat acceptance movement in the 1960s and was created by and for folks in marginalized bodies, and it encourages unconditional body love no matter what your body looks like. And in recent years, the term has been commercialized and co-opted, and it often is said that it leaves out the people that the movement was originally created for. Body neutrality. I do not love or hate my body, which I will say as I learn more about this one, I feel like this is what I lean towards some days. And we'll get a little bit more into that. It prioritizes the body's function and achievements rather than its appearance, views the body through a neutral lens without judgment or forced positivity. And I really like that it doesn't force positivity, because I feel like that is kind of like toxic positivity, forcing positivity when sometimes you just really need to be present with whatever you're feeling. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with being positive. Absolutely not. I just think that sometimes you can be overly positive, such as hence toxic positivity, and you have to have moments where you allow yourself to just sit in what you're feeling, to be emotionally healthy and to acknowledge what it is that you are feeling in whatever the given situation is. And I think it's the same with body image sometimes. Um, so it views the body through a neutral lens. Liking your body is not a requirement for loving yourself. So it separates you from your body, which is important when you may have phrases or times where you may feel more, you may love your body more. There's times where you really don't like what you see. Body neutrality separates that. It's like, okay, I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now, but this doesn't mean that I can't love me. Acknowledges body love is not always realistic or attainable. And I kind of went into that. I think that is important because sometimes you have to sit in that you may not love what you look like, your body looks like, but that doesn't mean that you can't still love you. Two things can coexist. So while you may not be in love with what your body looks like every day, that doesn't mean that you lose any value. I think sometimes you just have to sit in that. As long as you're not in it, participating in any harmful self-harm behaviors, I think sometimes it's okay to just take a moment and pause and say, I don't love the body I'm in. And then I think from there's some time to think, okay, like what is within my control? What can I do about it? What am I going to choose to do about that? Why don't I like the body I'm in? Am I healthy? Because I think that that's the number one thing. Now, aesthetically, is it important to like? Is it important to? And I was gonna say like what you look like or enjoy what you look like. Yeah, I mean, I think that that is something that is important, but I don't think that I think we have to be careful to not make it a make or break thing. Um, I think it is important. I mean, I think it's okay. I'll say that. I think it is okay to want to look a certain way as long as I always go back to the why. As long as you have a healthy reason why you want to look like this. So, for example, say you want a big butt. Why do you want a big butt? Is it because you like the way that you fill out your jeans? That's okay then. But are you saying that you want a big butt solely because you want everyone else to like looking at it, the attention that it'll bring? That's the only reason that you want a bigger butt? Then, you have to go deeper and question why is that important to you. I don't think, I mean, I really don't think that there's anything wrong with like having preferences or having certain things that you like in yourself. And I think if we're honest, we all have certain things that we like or don't like. And some of them we may already have those attributes within our shape, our body shape. Some of them we may not have. I think as long as we're not going about obtaining them in a way that is detrimental to us, others, or unhealthy, then it's okay. And as long as it's not something that's like an obsession for us as well, or interfering with our day-to-day um, lifestyle functions or day-to-day life. And so body liberation, this is a newer one for me. I hadn't heard of this one, but I like it. I'm more than my body. Promotes inclusivity, body autonomy, fat acceptance, and size diversity. I love all of that. I think size diversity, I think all that is very important. And I'll say size diversity is very important because bodies come in all different sizes, shapes, and types, and they're beautiful. I don't think that there's one size that is like the token size. I think there's so many different varieties, shapes. I was gonna say vehicles that we all come in, and I think it's a beautiful thing. Freedom from systems of oppression, including weight, stigma, and size discrimination, to create a safe space for all bodies to exist. And I think that's very important. Separates a person's self-worth from their body or appearance. So I like that for body liberation. So as we're moving out of these definitions, just to kind of go into a little bit of background about how I decided to talk about this. So this actually was an episode in the making before there was ever a podcast. About a year ago, I felt led to do a video or some type of PSA on comparison, and I never did it. So when I decided to launch the YouTube podcast, I was like, we're going to talk about it. And the comparison, the root of why I was going to do it on comparison actually came from my own personal struggles with body image. And so I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Everyone that's watching this does not know me or has not seen me in person. But to those who have seen me in person, now granted, it might have changed if it's been a little while since you've seen me in person. You know me as I live in a small body frame, a petite body frame. I'm slim. I would describe myself as slim with the shape. So I am 4 foot 9.5 inches, if you want to round up 4'10". But I love being short, so it's all good. And I'm roughly 120 pounds. So to hear me talk about body image, I know that that's controversial. I know that people, I know just from what I've personally experienced, and then just kind of in general, people are like, you have nothing to say about body. You're small. I've heard these things before in different ways, subliminal, well, directly and indirectly. I've had mornings where I changed my outfit multiple times because I didn't like the way I looked in it. But I mentioned that one time, it took me a while to get dressed because I was struggling. And the person just looked at me and was like, no, and it was and literally proceeded to say, no, why would you struggle with getting dressed? Okay, back up. Everybody has their own struggles. Just because I'm in a smaller body doesn't mean that I don't have any challenges. I am a Black woman in, I was gonna say in America. I mean, I am a Black woman. And one thing, when we think about culturally, we think about what's acceptable or what's desirable. I was actually in a conference back in February, and this was something that we talked about. And the conference, it was a counseling association conference, and we talked about what's acceptable for different what body types are desirable based on culture and ethnicity. And one of the things as being a Black woman is being in a thicker body, I feel, is more acceptable. And as someone that is in a smaller body, I have struggled sometimes with, that question, like, am I thick enough? And I've had things in situations that have affirmed that, and I've had things in situations that have affirmed the insecurity that I've had with that off and on throughout my life. And then I've had things that have, affirmed that no, you're absolutely okay. Um, like I mentioned, I am slim, but I do have a shape. So I do have curves on a slimmer body. And even with that being said, there's some times that I felt like, ooh, I go through a lot of phases where I'm like, ooh, I want to gain a little weight. Then I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh no, like, girl, you look good. You filling that dress out. Okay. You filling them jeans out. Um, and so, it's just kind of like a struggle sometimes, just going back and forth. So I can appreciate body neutrality and body liberation. I can appreciate movements like that. Um, I have gone through like I've pretty much for all my life because I eat. I eat. And that's another thing that sometimes you hear when you're smaller, like, well, just eat, like you need to eat. That's rude to tell somebody like, oh, you need to eat. Um, you don't know the situation. Like, I mean, I also think it's rude to tell somebody you need to stop eating. I think, and I also think that something that we have to do is we have to have conversations one on one with people, and we have to really test our motives when we're coming to someone about their body and what it looks like. If you love someone and you have genuine concerns, that's a one on one conversation. It should never be a comparison with what someone else looks like, and it should never be something that you say out in front of a group of people because you just don't know what people are struggling with. Um, so I'm a big foodie. I've had my metabolism is actually pretty high, and I'm actually pretty thankful for that, to be honest. But it has fluctuated because there have been times in my life where I have gained weight, and there have been times where it came right back up. So I'll talk a little bit about last fall when I was really, because it's kind of just been a struggle that I've had a little bit off and on. Like I go through phases where I'm like, girl, you look amazing. 2018 was one of those years for me. I was really happy. I was gonna say I was in a really good place. But now when I assess from a like healing journey, I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't really doing the work like I am now, but it was like a light. 2017 was a light carefree year and it trickled into 2018. And I was pretty happy during that time. And I gained some happy weight. And I was excited about the happy weight that I gained. I actually like when my weight fluctuates up. I was excited, but at the same time, um, as someone that has struggled and has been on the smaller side and has struggled with putting on weight or keeping it on, even when I've changed like my workout regimen, I did get in a moment where I remember going to the doctor's office and I had like, I think it was like, I remember going in February and I went in April, may have been one more time. And between those two times, I had gained some weight. And I remember thinking, because I remember when I was younger, my mom put her fingers around my wrist and she was like, Kim, she was like, you're gonna have to be careful when you get older. And this is no slight on my mom. This is just for some context sharing the story. Because my mom knew I loved to eat, and she was like, when you get 25, you're gonna start gaining weight. And so that, well, it happened in college, so that was before 25. But then the year that I was 25, I actually lost some of the college weight, somewhere between 24 and 25. But this story, when I was talking about like 2018, 2017, I was 31, 32, yeah, 31, 32 during that time period. And so I was like, well, maybe this is the time that my mom has been talking about. It's finally coming. It's happening. I'm going to have to be careful. I'm going to change up my diet and my routine. Well, flash forward to last fall, which would have been fall 2022. So professionally, things were going amazing for me. But for some reason during that time, I was really struggling with body image. And I don't even know why, where it came from, the trigger during that particular time. Just could have been that off and on that I've gone throughout my life, sometimes just struggling with, am I enough? Am I thick enough? Um, and so I remember there was two particular incidents or comments that were made that compared me to other women that were hurtful. And both times I didn't say anything, which probably, I was gonna say, if you know me, might not sound like me. Um, but I remember when the first instance happened, I remember feeling specifically like, don't say anything. That's what I felt led to do in that moment, was just don't say anything. And so as time progressed, I started seeing, I felt like God was showing me different glimpses of why the person made the comment that they made, not to condone why they made the comment that they made, but to give me some background so that I would have some grace for this person. Because I was pissed, like when I kind of when I was hurt, and it struck an insecurity, if we're honest. And so I was pissed at myself for not saying anything back. But then as time went by, it was like God was revealing what this person was dealing with and why they felt like it was okay to say that to me. And it didn't necessarily make it easier, if I'm honest, all the time. Sometimes it did. Sometimes it really did help me have grace. But sometimes it's still, I was just like, well, I don't care. Like, we're all going through something out here. But the bottom line is, for me, it's just never necessary to compare two women's bodies. Like, come on. And as a woman, you shouldn't do that to another woman. You need not do that. I try not to say shouldn't, should a lot, because some of the shame that can be associated with it, but there's no need for comparison. It's just no need. Like, you never know. It's just no need. I was gonna say you don't know what a person is going through and experiencing, but it's no need to compare. Um, but what I will say that that comment did was it actually thrusted me back into my consistent workouts. And so that time period for me when I got into those workouts was quite amazing. I upped the ante because I was like, I am going to get my gains back on. Because it was something that I wanted to do for me, even though the comment was hurtful and it pissed me off. Like, after I kind of like after I processed what happened, it still motivated me to work on those gains. And so I upped my workout regimen. I upped the weights. I upped the amount of times. Well, I got back into working out because I had stopped at that point. I think, yeah, I got comfortable and stopped, but I jumped back in. Like, I upped the weights, up the workout regimen, up the days of the week, and I got results. And I was so proud of myself because it felt good. It looked good. I mean, it looked good. Okay. Like, I was about to bust out of a pair of jeans. So it looked good to me. But I also, what it did was it built confidence in seeing that, hey, you can build what you want. You can train and get what you want. When, you feel, and it built confidence in other areas because it was like, you can build what you want. You can build what you need or want or need depending on the situation. So working out consistently really did just it built some confidence for me when I saw those results, when I was seeing the results, if we put it like that. So then flash forward, life always happens, right? So I have very rough PMS sometimes, and PMS, premenstrual syndrome. So when I say very rough, the symptoms some days are just, whew. I saw this meme recently that said pre-period symptoms make you feel like you're losing your mind. Jesus Christ. Okay. They are rough. I'm just flashing back. They are rough sometimes. And so I say that because they impact my energy sometimes, and sometimes they impact my appetite, surprisingly. Now, sometimes that can be, I just feel like I just eat, 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 eat. But more lately, over the last couple of years, when they affect my appetite, most of the time is I feel like I can't eat. I feel sick. So like I feel like excuse me, I can't eat. And so, of course, when you start a workout regimen and you're working out and you're building everything up, and then you go through a period of time where your energy is very low and you feel like you can't eat, it's like you really like you feel sick, physically sick when you are trying to eat. And so there's like a day or two in that during those period symptoms where it's like, okay, I'm just eating like crackers and soup, and then I may even skip a meal because I'm not, I feel bad when I eat. So that put a damper on that working out that I had going on. I pushed through it first, the physical symptoms of having low energy, but then it got to a point where I was just struggling to wake up to get ready for work. So I didn't really even have the energy to work out. But then I also was struggling with, I just wasn't able to eat like I needed to. And I typically don't struggle with eating. I have high metabolism, but I don't struggle with like wanting food. I love to eat. So then, yeah, we have that going for us as well. And so I'm going to actually pause here because my video is doing something weird, and I will continue in part two.